all across the MCU. And that is Marvel's very unusual use of the number 12. Alright, so you're probably thinking, Jay, what on earth are you talking about? And yes, I'll admit, it's a very easy thing to miss, and oftentimes when the number 12 comes up, it's as part of a joke or just some throwaway line or number with no real meaning or significance. But Marvel has undeniably used this specific number a lot.
12 for 12 was last year's maximum cover model.
Crowds I'm used to are usually more, 12.
12%.
12%?
Well, subjects within 12.5 yards were vaporized instant. 12 months of thermogenic occurrences now.
12-year-old kid waiting in the car that I've never met.
12 o'clock is not a target.
October 12th, 1964.
12-inch steel wall.
12%.
12%?
I'm 12 minutes older than you.
12-point verification.
That little montage there covers every single Marvel movie to date except The Incredible Hulk and the 2 Thor movies. But if you wanted to expand it even further, there is a ton of examples in all of the Netflix shows and on the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show as well. But today we're just going to stick to the movies. So what gives Marvel? What is so important about the number 12? Because all of those moments are seemingly unconnected, and yet whenever a character reaches for a number, they seem to land on 12. Okay, so my first step in getting to the bottom of the number 12 was to learn as much about it as I could. What significance does it have? And it turns out 12 comes up a lot more than you might think. There are 12 months in a year, 12 hours on a clock, 12 people have walked on the moon. The factors of 12 are 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. Jesus had 12 apostles. There is 12 inches in a foot. 12 is the number for a dozen. There were 12 knights at the Round Table, not including Arthur. 12 is the atomic number for magnesium. In Greek mythology, there are 12 main gods in the pantheon. There are 12 days of Christmas, and, fun fact, 12 is the largest number that has just one syllable. Not to mention it's a superior highly composite number, so that's a thing and I totally know what it means. Now, most of those are just measurements or odd facts, but at least 3 of them stood out to me as being similar and possibly even relevant. That is, Jesus's 12 apostles, the 12 knights of the Round Table, and the 12 gods of the pantheon. All being pretty historically relevant groups of 12 that are made up of very influential and or powerful beings. Adjectives I dare say could apply to any number of characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, although in this case that number is going to be 12. Obviously. Side note, while we're on the topic of groups of powerful beings, you should totally go check out me and Tyler's new series on Supercarl and Gaming where we're playing through Castle Crashers. Now, interestingly, by the time we get to the end of Phase 3 in Infinity Wars, if you add up the original 6 Avengers, which would be Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Hulk, Black Widow, and Hawkeye, and add in any other character who has had the title role in a movie or been the leader of their group, that would include Doctor Strange, Black Panther, Ant-Man, Star-Lord, Captain Marvel, or Spider-Man, which altogether would add up to 12. And what's more, there is an actual Marvel storyline in the comics called The 12. Now, to be fair, that story is actually an X-Men story who are obviously not a part of the MCU, but it's okay. Stick with me. In that story, Apocalypse, who's sort of like the ultimate big bad of the X-Men, is trying to give himself omnipotence by siphoning off the powers of the 12 other most powerful mutants, known as the 12. And actually, Apocalypse counts as one of the 12 himself, but he still kidnaps another 12 mutants because he needs one of them, known as the Living Monolith, who looks frickin' awesome to do the siphoning of the powers for him. I'll be honest, I have not personally read this particular story, but while I was researching it, I did come across this picture, and it immediately reminded me of this Avengers cover. Basically because it's a bunch of captured superheroes. But notice who is doing the capturing in that cover. It's the Collector. The Collector, if you don't remember, is the guy who kind of looks like Mugatu from Zoolander. We saw him in Guardians of the Galaxy and Thor: Dark World, and in both cases he was collecting Infinity Gems. In fact, in one case he even says, "1 down, 5 to go. Now we also know Thanos is looking for the Infinity Gems, so here is what I'm suggesting. Marvel is using the story of the 12 from X-Men for the Avengers, replacing Apocalypse with Thanos and X-Men with the Avengers. We know in the movies the Collector and Thanos are both looking for the gems, and that in the comics the Collector has at least once successfully collected the Avengers. Now if that comes to pass in the movies, which is to say Thanos gets the gems and the Collector collects the Avengers, then maybe what's going to happen is Thanos is going to use the Infinity Gauntlet as the living monolith and siphon off the powers of the Avengers to make himself omnipotent. Do you see how easily they line up? I mean, Thanos and Apocalypse even look like super similar, and it would still be like a really comic booky story, but no one would see it coming because it's from X-Men, not Avengers. Personally, I hate that X-Men aren't in the MCU because I love the X-Men, but this would be a really cool way to like get a taste of them inside there. Like just because you can't use the characters doesn't mean you can't like sort of use the story. And it's been sitting there right in front of us in plain sight the entire time, hiding behind the number 12. Boom! Easter egg solved. I mean, unless they like come out and like give us an alternate explanation, I have to say, I think that's a pretty good guess. What? Did they actually address this? Wow, okay, so apparently James Gunn, director of Guardians of the Galaxy, has come out and said that they use 12 because it's the largest number that is also one syllable. And it sounds pleasing. So I guess maybe that's the actual reason, but I dare say my prediction still holds up. Actually, what I really love about this whole little thing is that the internet has become so aware of this little writing trick that it has kind of evolved from being a writing trick into an Easter egg. So like I'm excited going forward whenever I see a Marvel movie to like be on the lookout for the number 12, because I think it's going to have like moved from trick to like Easter egg category. So with that said, if you're seeing Doctor Strange this weekend, and I totally recommend that you do, because from what I hear it's going to be awesome, be on the lookout for the number 12. And if you spot it, make sure you tweet it at me and Ben and then follow us like right here. But Ben, my question for you and everybody else is, what Marvel movie are you most looking forward to, and who is your favorite character from the Marvel Cinematic Universe? Let me know in the dowel section down below.
These socks are amazing!
And a special thanks to these patrons who support Super Carlin Brothers on Patreon. Guys, thanks for watching. As always, please be sure to like this video if you haven't already, and subscribe so you don't miss any future Marvel videos from us. If you want to see another video about audio Easter eggs, we made a great one here about the Wilhelm scream, and if you're like wondering